welcome to the longest hypercar race in Q2. We will be trying to see if I can get it under half an hour, preferably 35 minutes if possible. I will not guarantee anything, but I will be doing my best to see if I can break my own record. Should be rather interesting, and we shall see how it kind of turns out. And let's get to it. This is a time trial, not an actual race as far as I'm concerned. I will not be trying to beat them. I will be trying to beat my time so that I might be able to get ahead of some of my friends on the time. Fastest time I have ever done, I think, was 38 minutes, maybe more. It's been a while since I've done this race. I'm out to see if I could beat my time again. And no guarantees on that. Should be very interesting though. Let's get to it. And I will be using shortcuts as well. It will not be I'm not trying to really spare, I'm trying to cut down my time, so I will be using shortcuts and any other ability to cut down. I'll be later live streaming this on Twitch, so if you wish to watch, I will also be on Twitch later today. A little rusty. The most annoying part about this race is all the turns. And since I'm driving a Koenigsegg Regera, it is all-wheel drive, so it's taking some turns hard because it does not, you can't take out the rear end to help make the turn. But overall, it has high speed. I also have it set up so it maximizes the amount of miles I get along with this income. This car is basically set up so that way when I hit the NOS, I basically just take it. I'm gone. That is why I chose this car. It's good overall, and it's perfect for anything that's speed related. Yes, the Lamborghini is more well known. The Koenigsegg Regera R is hard to come by. That is why I prefer it to the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini is all well known, but it's also a overused vehicle. Sure, it's nice, but everyone has one. Not everyone has an Agera. Ageras are much harder to come by, and that is why I prefer them. Not to mention, while a Lamborghini costs $3 million, an Agera costs around 8 to 10 just to get started on it. And if you mess up your modifications while you're making the car, you cannot change it unless you want to make a whole new car. That is, yeah. Koenigsegg can be a little finicky with that sort of stuff, but that is also why their cars are mainly track cars and not street legal. Yes, they do make street legal cars, but most times Koenigsegg's cars are made for track, not for street. But yeah, the main setup I have for this car is to get from 0 to 100 as fast as possible. Screw the 0 to 60. I know that's how most people judge it, but I prefer to judge 0 to 100. Because since it is a hypercar, 0 to 60 is kind of pointless. If I'll be racing, it should be more like 0 to 100, especially with a circuit race, not circuit, sprint race like this one. Another thing about this car though, it is good on straight stretches, so you're not really doing cornering, so you have to drop it around, you can go around 280 on straight stretches, but you gotta drop it down to around 160 to 180 on corners at most, and I recommend dropping it around 140 to go into corners. As you'll see later on in this race, there are a couple of hairpin corners that you gotta drop down to below 100. There's also why I focus on off the block, that way I don't slow down and stay below 100 for too long, because that will screw me over on the shorter race. The whole idea of this car is to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, and handling the reason I went with handling as a secondary, speed was a whole goal. Speed was the primary concern with this car, because I can get this thing up to 300 miles an hour if I do it just right, if I drive right. 300 miles an hour. That's usually what the drag cars in here hit. Drag cars in here usually hit 300 to 400 at times, whereas the highest I've seen the hypercar go was about 290, 300. I've gotten mine up to 301 once. That's the highest I've been able to get this thing. I can hit 300, but higher than 300 is pushing my luck. And it's really not good to cause me a crash, because there is a very sharp hairpin at the end of that where you go to get the speed that high up. Once we get there, I will attempt to hit 300 again, but with how difficult it is a 50-50 chance of hitting 300. I will be hitting the high 200s though, but it's difficult to hit 300. Due to the car and the game limitations, it is difficult to hit 300. It may be a fast car, but every vehicle has its limitations, and this one is its braking. certain speeds, the braking on this thing is really fast. So when you go into corners, you have to manage both the braking and your speed. If you're going too fast, your brakes won't hold. If you're going too slow, it'll be like, yeah. See, you have to start difficult. Start for hairpins, you have to start slowing down a good ways before you get there. If you don't, you're gonna overshoot or crash. This car has a tendency of overshooting or crashing. It's one of the harder areas for the hypercars to go through because there's so much braking and sharp turns that the cars themselves have issues with them. Due to the constant stop and go, it's rather difficult to control the car. Well, actually, it's not this area. It's an area further along the road. But once the hills start to get inflated, once you start to go up the hills while they're having a sharp turns at the same time, it can get rather dangerous for the driver. While I am not the best driver, I would still like to at least break my score, among other things. That might have slowed me down a little more than to help me speed up, but accidents like that tend to happen when you're doing races like this, so it's not exactly surprising. But oh well. Able to hit 300. Though it is rather difficult to hit 300, it is doable. You just need to have the right conditions to hit 300. Sadly, those conditions don't last very long, which means you can't hold it for very long, which kind of sucks. Here's a reminder, when you're hopping corners, always watch out for guardrails and other things such as that. They can easily knock you out of a race. And before someone says something about me cheating with the shortcut, some of the AIs do take those shortcuts as well. So that must be kept in mind. Well, the rough idea is to keep the time under 40 minutes. I would like to get it in the either mid-30s or low 30s. But it looks like I will not be getting it in the low 30s from the time I've seen. Here are those 90-degree turns I mentioned about slowing you down and stopping. This is where it will cost me some of the most time because I will lose so much speed. It's not feeling funny. Let's see if I get there before 34. Come on. Come on, baby, don't fail me now. Well, looks like I have failed to get what I wanted about my record. Well, that is unfortunate. But yes, that was my attempt at the longest race on the Crew 2. Thank you for watching.